Okay, let's jump into this. We're diving into a source here, a collection of really blunt, practical rules from Jeffrey J. Fox, all focused on, well, one specific goal: how to become a CEO.
Yeah, and it's not your typical academic textbook stuff, is it?
Yeah.
He frames these as rules based on the gritty realities of business.
Exactly. What actually happens. And that's what makes it interesting. It's designed to kind of cut through the noise, offering what the author sees as the actionable path to the top.
Right. Less theory, more observed practice. Like this is what is, not necessarily this is what maybe ought to be.
And while CEO is the big target here, you look at these rules and, well, a lot of them apply to anyone wanting to be more effective or get ahead or just kind of understand how success works in like a corporate setting.
Sure, they have broader application, leadership principles, really.
So our mission for this deep dive, let's pull out the most impactful rules, maybe the surprising ones, the core ideas from this source. You want to get the author's logic and see how it might apply to you listening right now.
Yeah, figure out those fundamental actions, those mindsets he thinks are, well, non-negotiable for reaching the top. Filtering out the fluff.
Okay, let's get started. The foundation seems to be work ethic and personal habits. Rule number 1 hits you right away with an acronym: WACADAD.
Whack-a-dad. Words are cheap and deeds are dear. It sounds simple, but the core idea is powerful. Deeds, like actual execution, always trump just talking about things.
So if you say you'll do something,
You do it, period. And if you see something needs doing, you don't just point it out. You make it happen. You take the initiative.
he really insists that the corporate world is full of talkers, right? People good at meetings, brainstorming.
Oh, yeah. Lots of words. But people who consistently deliver, who actually get the deed done, he says they're incredibly scarce.
And that scarcity makes you stand out. That's the key.
And it's the execution that makes you visible. He quotes Ted Leavitt, I think, saying, creativity without implementation is irresponsibility.
Right. An idea is just potential until it's actually done. So doing, not just, thinking or discussing, that's what has real impact.
That's the currency. Deeds.
Okay, so building on that idea of actually doing things, he has another rule about the level of effort needed. Rule 18, make one more call.
Yeah, and it's not literally just for salespeople making calls. It's more of a metaphor, right?
Exactly. It's about persistence, pushing a little bit further than maybe you feel like.
And the insight here, which is kind of interesting, is that the gap between average and like really successful isn't always this huge chasm.
No, he says it's often just inches, like small differences.
Right. Not necessarily genius level smarts, but that one extra bit of effort done consistently, day after day.
He gives examples like Ted Williams or DiMaggio hitting extra practice, or Bell with his experiments.
Yeah, thousands of them. So in business, it's that one more sales call when you're tired. Maybe rewriting a report draft one more time to get it really sharp.
Do that extra bit of analysis.
Exactly. It's the cumulative effect of that little bit extra. It shows grit. So for you, listening, think about where in your own work you could apply that one more principle consistently.
Then there's this habit, Rule 19. It sounds almost, well, weirdly specific. Arrive 45 minutes early and leave 15 minutes late.
Huh. Yeah, it's very precise. But the math he lays out is pretty compelling. It adds up to an extra hour a day.
Which, over a year, is like
250 extra hours, roughly, or about 31 extra work days. You're basically adding a whole extra month of work time just with that habit.
Plus, it's about perception too, isn't it? He argues senior management sees the early birds. It signals you're engaged.
Right. But he adds that important nuance: don't stay super late all the time.
Yeah.
That can look like you can't manage your time or you have no life outside work.
Just that bit extra, 15 minutes late to organize, maybe plan for tomorrow, shows commitment without looking inefficient.
Exactly. It's a practical discipline. Visible. Gives you quiet time too, usually.
Okay, shifting slightly, but still on personal habits. Rule 6, keep physically fit. And Rule 7, do something hard and lonely. These seem important to him.
Very. Physical fitness isn't just about health. He ties it directly to your capacity for work, your energy, your resilience, your mood even.
And he makes a point that statistically, many people climbing the ladder are not fit.
Right, so being fit gives you an actual edge, physically and mentally.
And do something hard and lonely. What's that about? It sounds kind of intense.
It is. It's about deliberately taking on something demanding, something solitary, something you do just for yourself that requires real discipline to build mental toughness.
Like what? What kind of things?
He gives examples like solitary long-distance running, splitting wood by hand, really intense late-night studying, writing a book, tackling difficult reading like Shakespeare.
So it's not just a hobby, it's training.
Yeah, that's how he frames it. Training for the mind. Building that inner strength, that discipline, that self-reliance you need to handle the pressures, maybe the isolation, that can come with leadership. Mental preparedness.
So these personal foundations, work ethic, extra effort, showing up, physical and mental discipline, they're like the bedrock before you even get into navigating the company itself.
Exactly. That's the base layer he establishes. You need that personal fortitude first.
Okay, which brings us nicely to that next level, navigating the organization, money, jobs, relationships. And rule 2 is pretty stark. Always take the job that offers the most money.
Yeah, that one definitely makes you pause. It goes against a lot of common career advice, right? Like follow your passion, find the right title.
Totally. But he gives very practical strategic reasons. First, things like raises, bonuses, they're often percentages of your base pay.
Right. So start higher, and everything that comes after is bigger. Simple math.
Okay, purely practical. What else?
Second, she argues a higher salary often comes with higher expectations, which means more responsibility, more chances to actually perform and show what you can do. Crucial opportunities.
More visibility too, maybe.
Definitely. Higher pay puts you on the radar of top management. They know who the high-cost, hopefully high-value players are.
And there's that fourth reason about how big companies work. Kind of path of least resistance.
Yeah, the idea that if they're picking between two internal people for a promotion, sometimes it's just easier to promote the one who's already paid more. It kind of validates past decisions. You know.
Less bureaucratic hassle, maybe.
Yeah.
And finally, he just calls money the scoreboard in business.
Pretty much. It's the clearest metric of how the company values your contribution, at least in his view. So the takeaway is, think about money not just as income, but as a signal, leverage, a strategic marker.
Okay. Next, rule 3. Avoid staff jobs, seek line jobs. First, how does he define line versus staff?
So line jobs, in his definition, are the ones directly making money or managing the operations that do. Think sales, product managers, maybe plant managers. They have a direct impact on the P&L.
Got it. And staff jobs.
Staff jobs are the support functions. Essential, but indirect. Like HR, legal, R&D, finance, admin. They help the business run, but they don't directly bring in the revenue or manage the core product service delivery.
And his advice is strongly biased towards line jobs.
Very strongly, because that's where the action is, where your impact on the bottom line is most direct, most measurable. He says the company fundamentally depends on these roles.
Is there ever a time to take a staff job?
Only, he says, if it's clearly temporary, a specific stepping stone to a line role, and it pays significantly more money, linking back to Rule 2 again.
So the advice for you is understand your company's structure, know where the line roles are, and try to position yourself there if you want that direct impact and the visibility that comes with it.
Right. Be where you can demonstrably affect the core business results.
Rule 4. This one might sting a bit for some people. Don't expect human resources to plan your career.
Yeah, it's a reality check. He's really blunt here. HR and the company, they don't have some grand personalized career map laid out just for you. Their focus is organizational needs, not your individual path.
So whose job is it then?
Yours. 100% yours. You have to figure out what you want, what steps are needed, what skills or expertise you need to gain for those future roles.
And then go get them yourself.
Exactly. Proactively acquire the experience, the knowledge.
Yeah.
Take total ownership. Don't wait for the company or HR to hand you a plan. That's not their role, according to this perspective.
Okay. Rule 5 takes us back to absolute basics, but he says executives often forget it. Get and keep customers.
It sounds obvious, right? Customers are the lifeblood. But he points out this weird thing where the higher people get in big companies, the more detached they can become from actual customers.
Yeah, they get stuck in internal meetings dealing with bureaucracy.
Exactly. And he says direct customer interaction, even though it can be tough, customers are demanding is absolutely essential.
Why? What do you get from it?
You get the truth. You get ideas for improvement. You get early warnings about problems. You find out what competitors are doing. They keep you grounded in market reality.
He calls understanding the customer understanding the kingmaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing who really holds the power.
Yes. And he has that image. When the phone rings with a customer, like 12 people should dive to answer it. Shows the urgency.
So the message for you is, no matter your role, find ways to connect with customers, listen to them, understand their world. It's vital intelligence.
Keeps you focused on why the company exists in the first place.
All right, moving into relationships inside the company. Rule 28, Don't get buddy-buddy with your superiors. Or subordinates, actually.
Yeah, maintain a professional distance. He argues your boss, your superiors, they're business associates, not primarily your friends. Trying too hard to be buddies.
Like trying to socialize constantly, play golf.
He thinks it comes across as manipulative, kind of transparent, and it's no substitute for actually being good at your job. Talent and competence matter more.
So what's the alternative? Ignore them.
No. Get to know them well, but professionally. Understand their goals, their problems, their working style. Be incredibly helpful and reliable. Be there for them in a business context. Just draw that line between associate and personal friend.
And the same applies downwards with your team.
Yes, professional respect, mutual support, clear expectations that's more effective in the long run than trying to be everyone's best friend.
Okay. And closely related, Rule 33. Make your boss look good and your boss's boss look better. This sounds potentially political.
It can sound that way, but he frames it as pure practical strategy for your advancement. Think about it. How do most people get promoted?
Often their boss moves up or out, creating a vacancy.
Exactly. So your best shot is often to succeed your direct boss. For that to happen, your boss needs to be seen as successful, promotable. So by actively helping them look good, you're actually helping create your own potential opportunity.
Makes sense. And why the boss is boss, too. Even more important.
Often, yes. Especially if your direct boss isn't going anywhere fast. The person above your boss usually has more clout, more influence over your longer-term career. Making them look good raises your own profile significantly.
How do you do that, practically?
Anticipate their needs. Solve problems before they become big issues for them. Do extra digging to get them answers they need. Keep them informed proactively. Finish work ahead of schedule. Always do a little bit more than asked. Try to see things from their perspective and help them achieve their goals.
So it's not just sucking up, it's strategic support. Understanding that your success is linked to theirs.
Precisely. It's about facilitating their success in a way that positions you for your own. Helping them win helps you win.
All right, let's talk communication and presence. Some sharp rules here. Rule 46, learn to speak and write in plain English.
He's really strong on this. He argues that bad communication, fuzzy, unclear, jargon-filled, costs businesses billions, literally, through wasted time, mistakes, inefficiency.
Because people just don't understand what's needed or what's being said.
Exactly. Good business communication, he says, needs to be precise, complete, easy to understand, straight to the point. Cut the jargon, cut the complexity.
What's the practical advice then?
Know your audience. What do they need? How much time do they have? What's their background? He suggests some techniques like scattergrams, like mind mapping ideas first and zero drafts, just getting it all down initially without editing.
And then edit ruthlessly.
Yeah.
Get it down to 1 page, if possible.
Be concise. He has that great rule of thumb. Think for 3 hours, write for 1. Put the effort into clarity before you communicate.
The big takeaway, clear communication isn't just a nice-to-have soft skill. It's fundamental to getting things done right. For you, improving this directly impacts your effectiveness.
Absolutely. It's operational efficiency.
Rule 8 feels very relevant today. Never write a nasty email.
Oh, this is critical. Absolutely no emails that criticize, belittle, complain angrily, are sarcastic or condescending. Nothing negative or hurtful in writing, ever.
Why? What's the core reason?
It's permanent. And the business world, he argues, is smaller than you think. People move around. That person you insulted in an email today could be your boss, or a key client, or someone influential in your industry 5 years from now.
Don't create that smoking gun with your name on it.
Exactly. It's just not worth it. Focus your energy on positive communication. Digital footprints last forever. Pure self-preservation.
Okay. Now, flipping that coin, Rule 26 suggests something very different from email. Send handwritten notes. Seems kind of old-fashioned.
Maybe, but that's exactly why it works. In today's flood of digital messages, a physical handwritten note, it cuts through the noise. It really stands out.
It shows extra effort.
Thoughtfulness. Definitely. It differentiates you. Shows manners. Shows you value the connection. For thank yous, congratulations, expressing sympathy, acknowledging help, it's personal.
And the advice is to make it a habit.
Yeah, just try sending 1 a week. It's a simple, low-cost, but potentially very high-impact way to build relationships and make a positive, lasting impression. Never goes out of style.
Rules 50 and 51 kind of bundle together the idea of positive interactions. Please be polite with everyone, and then his list of 10 things to say that make people feel good.
Right. The basic message is that simple good manners, being polite to absolutely everyone, regardless of their job title or rank, isn't just nice, it's good business.
Things like being on time for meetings, not making people wait.
Respecting their time, introducing people properly, basic courtesy, it oils the wheels of interaction.
And those 10 things. They're simple phrases, aren't they?
Incredibly simple. Please, thank you. That was a first-class job. I really appreciate your effort. I need your help. Congratulations. Things like that. But the absolute key he stresses is
sincerity. You have to mean it.
absolutely. If it's not genuine, it backfires. But when sincere, these simple acts of recognition and appreciation motivate people, build loyalty, create a positive atmosphere, and ultimately make it easier for you to succeed because people want to help you.
Okay, let's shift gears to mindset and strategy. Rule 29 is pretty dramatic. Don't hide an elephant. An elephant being.
A big, serious problem. Something major going wrong.
And the advice is, don't try to cover it up.
Never. He argues that hiding it, or just hoping it resolves itself, always makes things worse when it eventually comes out.
Yeah.
And it will come out. The people who hid it get blamed, often severely. The people who brought it to light, they're usually safe, sometimes even look good for being honest.
So the minute you spot that elephant.
You raise the alarm. Immediately. Tell your boss, tell relevant colleagues, no delay. And importantly, you can frame this proactively.
How so?
Define the problem clearly. Give an honest assessment of the potential damage. Suggest possible solutions or next steps. Ask for help if you need it. Position yourself as the objective reporter, bringing crucial information forward. You become part of the solution finding.
He uses big examples like Watergate versus how JFK handled the Bay of Pigs aftermath, owning it quickly.
Right. The core lesson is transparency and proactive problem solving build trust. They demonstrate leadership maturity. Don't hide bad news. Manage it openly.
Rule 45 is about emotional control. Never panic or lose your temper. He quotes Jefferson on staying cool.
Yeah, that quote about staying cool and unruffled gives you a huge advantage. And the author agrees. Panic leads to bad decisions, finger pointing, basically losing control. Losing your temper just makes you look unprofessional and out of control, undermines your authority.
Remember that winery story he tells?
Oh yeah, the crisis during the grape crush. Head winemaker quit suddenly. Total potential disaster. But the president stays calm, asks one smart question. Who's the least experienced person here? Finds the backup winemaker and keeps things going. Calmness under pressure saved the day.
He also gives advice for when people say something nasty to you.
Right. Don't react emotionally. Don't fire back angrily. His advice is kind of counterintuitive. Just laugh it off or give a knowing smile. It shows you're unfazed, in control, above the pettiness.
And he suggests a technique, like if you have 10 seconds, think for 9.
Yeah, force yourself to pause before reacting. That ability to remain calm when everything's hitting the fan, that's a huge differentiator for leaders.
Rule 57 seems like it might be tough in practice. Stay out of office politics. Isn't politics everywhere?
He takes a strong stance. He sees typical office politics. The gossip, the backstabbing, the jockeying for favor as mostly a waste of valuable time and energy, often a sign of a weak or insecure culture.
So what should you focus on instead?
Your work, creating value, accomplishing things. His line is great. Let your actions be your politics. If the company is reasonably healthy, your actual contributions should matter more than playing political games.
He gives specific tactics like don't be the first to spread gossip, avoid those confidential chats.
Right. Don't get sucked in. Don't agree with negative talk about others. Don't say bad things yourself. If cornered, just plead ignorance. I don't know. Focus on delivering results.
The idea is that in the long run, especially in good companies, merit and contribution will win out over manipulation.
It's a bet on substance over style, essentially. Focus your energy where it counts.
Okay, Rule 64 has a cool name. Become a member of the Shouldn't Have Club. What's that about?
He sets it up against the should-have club. You know, people who are always second-guessing, afraid to take risks, always saying, oh, I should have done that, after the chance is gone. Non-doers.
Right, so the Shouldn't Have Club is?
It's the winner's circle, in his view. It's for people who actually try things, who take action. And because they take action, sometimes things won't work out. They'll make mistakes, and they'll occasionally say, oops, probably shouldn't have done that.
But that's a good sign.
Yes, because the payoff is huge. He argues, for every one time you make a mistake and think, shouldn't have, there will be 10 times where you should have acted, you did act, and it worked out brilliantly. It's about embracing calculated risks and learning from failures. No guts, no glory.
Taking action is key, which links to Rule 65. The concept doesn't have to be perfect, but the execution of it does.
This tackles that paralysis by analysis problem. Waiting for an idea to be absolutely flawless before you move forward. He says you'll wait forever.
So if an idea is just better,
If it's better than what you have now and it meets a real need, do it. Don't let perfect be the enemy of better. Get started. Act.
but once you act,
Then the execution has to be rigorous, meticulous. That's where the perfectionism needs to kick in the doing, the planning, the development, the launch, the follow-through. That attention to detail in execution is what separates success from failure, not having the perfect initial concept.
so bias towards action followed by disciplined, detailed execution.
Exactly. Get moving, then be excellent in the implementation.
All right, let's focus on people investing in them. Rules 39 and 40 go together. Overinvest in people and overpay your people. This really pushes against typical cost cutting.
It really does. He argues that companies trying to save money by hiring cheap are actually setting themselves up for mediocrity. His core belief: one outstanding person is worth way more than several average ones.
And overinvesting means more than just salary, right?
Oh yeah, much more. It's about giving top performers trust, independence, genuine praise, freedom to act, encouragement. He calls it emotional currency. People respond to how they're treated. They're like mirror-like reflectors. Give them trust, they give back commitment.
And he mentions the 3 I's for hiring.
Integrity, first and foremost. Then an I can do it attitude, that positive drive. And intelligence, which includes knowing what you don't know.
And overpaying, paying more than market.
Slightly more, yes. He argues it's not an expense, it's a high-return investment. Paying top dollar for top talent gets you disproportionately more productivity and better results. People will stretch to justify the confidence shown in them.
It challenges managers who only see people as line items on a budget.
Totally. He sees people as assets that yield returns. Better to have a smaller team of highly paid superstars than a bigger team of average performers, in this view. Invest in the best.
Okay, shifting to building networks. Rules 14, 15, 16 are about relationships across the board. Friday is how you doing day.
This is about deliberately connecting, maybe over lunch or coffee, with people outside your direct team. The key people in other departments, the administrative staff, the folks who actually make the wheels turn, the gears in the machine, he calls them.
Showing appreciation, building goodwill.
Exactly. Making allies across the organization. He suggests aiming for one good new ally a month. It smooths the path for getting your own work done when you need cross-functional help.
Then Rule 15, make allies of your peers' subordinates. That sounds a bit sneaky.
It sounds strategic. Your peers might be your rivals, right? But if their team members trust you, like you, think you're competent and fair.
It helps you when you need to collaborate with that team.
Yes. And it also provides a kind of check. If your peer speaks badly of you, but their own team respects you, who are people going to believe? It builds your reputation laterally and downwards.
And Rule 16, know everybody by their first name. Seems simple, but important.
Foundational respect. Learning names, pronouncing them correctly, maybe knowing a little about what they do and why it's important. It makes people feel seen, feel valued as individuals. It requires genuine effort and sincerity.
He even has that one-line good job tour idea.
Yeah. Rule 17, where you discreetly feed your boss specific positive things your team members did so the boss can praise them directly.
Yeah.
Makes your people feel great, makes the boss look good and connected. It makes you look great because your team is performing well. It's a win-win-win.
So the overall theme is building a wide, strong network of support and goodwill throughout the entire organization, up, down, and sideways.
Absolutely. Influence and effectiveness rely on that broad base.
Okay, Rule 36 brings it back to personal growth, but with a strategic angle. Add one big new thing to your life each year.
His point here is that top leaders, CEOs, need to be broad-gauged. They can't be narrow specialists. They need wide interests, diverse knowledge perspective.
How does adding one new thing help with that?
It demonstrates your capacity to learn, to grow, to expand your horizons. It might give you new ways of thinking, seeing solutions from different fields, learning a language, taking up photography, writing, learning an instrument.
It shows intellectual curiosity and drive.
Exactly. And he challenges excuses. If you say you're too old or too busy, he counters that maybe you lack the fundamental capacity for growth required for bigger roles. Continuous learning outside work makes you more adaptable, more interesting, a better leader.
Like cross-training for the brain.
Yeah, something like that. Builds mental agility.
And bringing many of these threads together, Rule 70, no goals, no glory.
Simple, powerful analogy from sports. You can't win if you don't know where the goal is. Same in your career and life. You must set specific goals.
And crucially, write them down.
Yes. Use that idea notebook he mentions earlier, Rule 10. Have long-term goals, 25, 10, 5 years out. Then break them down. Annual goals, monthly, weekly, even daily steps.
Connecting today's tasks to the big picture.
Exactly. Your daily to-do list should include actions that directly move you towards those larger written down goals. Otherwise, you're just busy, not necessarily productive towards what you ultimately want to achieve. Goals provide focus and direction for all the effort.
Essential for turning ambition into reality.
No goals, no glory. Simple as that.
Okay, last section. The right attitude. Rule 42, be a flag-waving company patriot. Wow.
Yeah, this demands total commitment, believing in your company, its mission, its products or services, and showing it visibly.
How? What does that look like?
Understanding and internalizing the mission, promoting the products enthusiastically, buying them yourself if it makes sense, buying company stock if you can, being a genuine advocate.
And cynicism.
He calls it the hallmark of losers, being negative about your own company, totally counterproductive. Now, the important caveat.
You genuinely can't believe in it.
Then you need to leave. Find a company whose mission and products you can honestly, passionately support. But while you're there, be all in. Authentic belief and advocacy are seen as leadership traits.
Makes sense. You can't lead what you don't believe in. Rule 47, treat all people as special.
This builds on politeness, but goes deeper. It's about seeing people beyond their job title, recognizing them as whole individuals with lives, families, interests outside of work.
And the payoff for treating people this way.
People give more. They're more motivated, more loyal, more willing to contribute their best when they feel genuinely valued and appreciated as individuals, not just cogs in a machine.
He lists ways good managers do this.
Yeah.
Like asking people, not just telling them, measuring results, not monitoring activity, treating them as contributors, not just costs.
Yeah, seeing them as people, not just personnel. Making them feel needed and heated. It unlocks potential. It's about humanizing the workplace.
And finally, Rule 48, be a credit maker, not a credit taker. This feels like a really core leadership principle.
Absolutely fundamental. When credit is due, especially for work done by your team or subordinates, give it all away, 100%, publicly and privately.
He uses that house building analogy.
Right. The general contractor gets credit for the whole house, but only because they make sure the plumber, the electrician, the roofer all get recognized for their specific crucial contributions.
And people who try to take all the credit for themselves.
He calls them insecure, dishonest. They might get away with it for a bit, but people see through it, especially the people whose credit they stole. It destroys trust.
Whereas being a credit maker
Builds incredible loyalty and motivation. People work harder knowing their contributions will be acknowledged. And you get the reputation as someone who leads successful teams, who gets things done, and who is good to work for. Your success comes from enabling their success.
sharing the spotlight makes everyone shine brighter, including you.
Exactly. It's about fostering team success, not just individual glory. That's leadership.
Wow. Okay, that was a deep dive. We've hit on so much: showing up early, doing the work, Wekadad, making that extra call, strategic job choices, money as a signal, handling relationships, plain English, no nasty emails, handwritten notes, staying calm, avoiding politics, taking action even if imperfect, setting goals.
And crucially, investing in people, over-investing, overpaying, giving credit, treating them as special individuals, building that network, and being a genuine company patriot.
It's a very practical, maybe even stark view of what it takes. Not always warm and fuzzy, but focused on what the author believes genuinely works in the reality of corporate life to get to the top.
Yeah, it's definitely presented as the what is, based on his observations.
Yeah.
A very results-oriented perspective.
So for you listening, it's worth thinking about which of these rules really hit home, which ones feel right based on what you see around you, and maybe which ones feel the most challenging or even counterintuitive in your world.
Because the underlying message isn't necessarily about perfectly mastering all 77 rules at once. It's more about the power of consistent action on even a few key principles. That's what can really set you apart.
Right. And the book itself ends with that provocative idea. Just open it to a random page and do what it says. What if the path isn't some perfectly choreographed dance, but more about just consistently doing one or two of these things starting now?
So maybe the final thought for you is just that. Based on everything we've talked about today, what's one single action, maybe inspired by one of these rules, that you could actually commit to taking this week? Just one thing.